I've been playing outdoors since I was a kid, standing by the front door at around 2 years old, hollering, side, 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 trying to get my mom to let me go play outside. Now, after 30 plus years working in the outdoor business, I'm dropping insider conversations every week with the brand leaders, guides, marketers, CEOs, and others to make the outdoor industry a $1 trillion juggernaut that drives product innovation, revenue, and public policy for everything outdoors. I'm Rick Saez. Welcome to the Outdoor Biz Podcast. Welcome to episode 445 of the Outdoor Biz Podcast. Today I'm talking with Jon Neff, founder of SKU Candy. Jon is a passionate and experienced entrepreneur with a demonstrated history of international business experience and a proven track record for developing and growing brands. And the SKU Candy mission is to be the premier buying and selling wholesale marketplace in the outdoor, lifestyle, surf, and sporting goods categories. Hey, before we get to this week's episode, I want to let you know of a great podcast I recently learned about that I think you'll enjoy. Who Runs This Park? Here is host Maddie Pellman to tell you all about it.
Who Runs This Park is a podcast showcasing the untold stories of people serving and protecting our national parks for over 100 years. I'm your host, Maddie Pellman, and together we'll uncover the stories of national park superintendents that have never before gotten the attention and appreciation they deserve. I can guarantee how you view our national parks and protected lands will change, and you'll leave inspired and itching for an adventure. At the precipice of unprecedented challenges in the Park Service and in conservation in general, these conversations are crucial. Together, we are building a community of park enthusiasts and stewards. Join in by listening to Who Runs This Park wherever you listen to your podcasts.
Hey, Jon, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, Rick. Appreciate it and happy to be here.
Yeah, good to chat with you. I'm excited to learn about SKU Candy. I'm sure I'm going to learn a lot, I would anticipate.
It's been that way for me too. So yeah,
that's a good thing.
Happy to share the journey.
Yeah, awesome. Cool. So let's start with your journey into the outdoor industry. How'd that come about?
Yeah, so that started a long time ago, immediately dating myself. But in 2002, I was part of the founding team of a company called The Travel Hammock. And I met my business partner, Kevin, in Thailand backpacking.
Oh, cool.
Which is, I think, where all great companies get started.
I was talking to somebody just the other day about a company that gets started like that.
Nice. Yeah. Well, it gives a good story at the very least.
Right.
And so we kicked that thing off in Chicago, of all places in the outdoor industry, the mecca of outdoor startups.
Was it at the travel show in Chicago?
No, I happened to end up in Chicago. I met Kevin, my business partner at the time, in Thailand, as I mentioned, and he was living in Chicago, where he's from.
Oh, okay.
And I happened to be there, and we reconnected and started talking about this crazy idea to grow a hammock brand into a global distributor of adventure travel products. Cool. And it seemed like the right thing to do. Yeah. And so we charged around, we bought a truck and filled it full of hammocks and went to the West Coast. And we started just going to consumer-based fairs and festivals and anywhere we could find people that had money in their pocket and liked the idea of laying in a hammock.
Right. That's cool.
Yeah. And our first, at this point, we're just sort of floundering and having fun and being a couple of young guys and just doing our thing. And one day somebody said, "Hey, you guys should start going to retailers." And we're like, "Oh yeah, what's that? What do we do?"
How do we do that?
Like, well, they're the people that sell your product, guys. And we're like, okay. And I remember our first ever retailer was in Central Oregon, and it was a kind of an Ace Hardware sort of store.
Oh, interesting. That's an interesting start for a hammock.
Yeah. Well, we figured if you like life and relaxing and doing this sort of thing, we didn't know who our demographic was. We just kind of thought it was everybody.
Right.
Which that's sort of the mindset of a young, scrappy entrepreneurs. We all think we've got the best stuff in the world and everybody should.
Right. Everybody needs one. Right.
Yeah, exactly. And so we cornered the store manager, and basically after about 15 minutes of pulling hammocks out, stretching them out, showing him and doing all this crazy stuff, he said, "If I buy some of these and give you guys an order, will you leave my store?" And we said, "Of course." So he wrote us a check. I think it was like $350. We ran out to the truck. We grabbed the hammocks, We displayed them for him. He gave us a check. We ran across the street and cashed it. I'm sure in his head, he was like, wow, I just saved these guys' lives. And
Right.
Paid for a hotel and a meal for them for the next week or something.
Interesting.
And that's how we kicked it off. Yeah. Then we rebranded that company. I'm going to say in 2014, if around that time frame, 2012, 2014, and we became Grand Trunk.
Oh, okay. Know that one.
Yeah. And that was through a really valuable lesson a retailer taught us about not having a brand. And of course, we didn't realize that we didn't have a brand, but that's one of the things I've always loved about the outdoor industry. There's so many people that have been willing to help, whether it's good advice, bad advice, or just advice, right? And a lot of people have been down these roads. And so we rebranded, and it was a monster undertaking. We had never done it. We didn't know what we were doing, but we had a good friend who was a very savvy brander. And so we just quickly adjusted. In fact, Kevin was in China, and I called him and said, hey, big news. We're working on this. And he's like, what are you talking about? Right. And so then I was able to share all the retailer feedback when he came back. And we rode that company for quite a long time.
How many SKUs did you have when you rebranded?
How many SKUs? We were pretty light in the SKU world. We were already in quite a few retailers at that point with all of our packaging and just the travel hammock branding, but no pushback whatsoever. I mean, in fact, a lot of congrats, good job. And we didn't want to tell you, but we think this is a great move for you guys.
Yeah, probably a good thing. Yeah, probably good to do while you didn't have a million SKUs too. Made it a little simpler.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like I said, I mean, it's obviously a big undertaking. And so the more you have to deal with and change.
Yeah, right.
But I'd say we were probably in the 15, 20 at that point.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that's pretty small. Cool.
Lots of colorways, but really like actual, products.
Right.
And so, we did that. We ended up making it on the Inc. 5000 fastest growing privately held companies in the U.S. list a couple of times, went back to back. And then shortly after that, in 2020, I exited the company.
And why was that?
Yeah, it had kind of become just more of a job. I'm an entrepreneur at heart. I've got itchy feet, if you will, right? I like to start things and build things. And that was great. I mean, it was amazing. We had quite a few employees, and we had won all these accolades and grown the distribution. And it just got to the point where I was ready to try something new. And so, I was able to exit then. And I mean, it was a great run. I mean, it literally was my inroad into the outdoor industry, and tons of fun.
Well, that was a heyday, right? OR was going good, and a lot of retailers you probably had a lot of doors. That was a good time to be in. Did you have reps?
We did have reps. We went through we had reps. We brought it in-house. We did that thing a couple of times.
Right.
And built it into, I think we were in 18 countries, 800 retailers. So it was a great business. And I learned a ton. Obviously.
I can imagine. Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. No, I was going to say it was the school of hard knocks, but there's not really another blueprint for it.
Right.
Se.
You got to dig in, right? You got to jump in with both feet, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And like you said, the cool thing though with the outdoor industry is you can learn. I mean, you almost get a PhD because everybody's willing to help and teach you and say, no, here's how you do this, here's how you do that. It's a great industry for that.
Absolutely. Even with competitors, which it's really kind of mind blowing that somebody that is your competitor, their livelihood is based on this thing too, would actually go out of their way to lend a hand here and there. And so, I can't tell you how many, and you've probably talked to just as many people where, this particular thing you're doing runs its course and you say, you know what, I don't want to be in this industry anymore.
Yeah.
And you step back and you're like, wow, I really miss that industry. I mean,
I've done that. I've changed industries and thought, maybe this wasn't such a smart idea.
It's just a great place to be. I was telling a new hire the other day who's kind of an outbound salesperson for us. And I said, the beauty of it is you're not talking to some C-level guy in a suit that is gatekeeping. You're talking to shop owners that are just normal people trying to make a living doing this, and they love what they're doing. So the conversation, even if it's not a successful we sign a buyer up or we sign a brand up, it's still, they're just great conversations with nice people that are just trying to figure out their business as well. And so there's never any animosity, or I don't get hung up on or yelled at.
Right. We're all doing the same thing, right? In addition to running our businesses, there's people still regularly out there doing the thing, right? Hiking, climbing, biking, camping, going on international trips. So we have the business part of it to talk about, but then also can fall back about, oh, I took your hammock to da-da-da-da-da and had a great time. And so, yeah, it's awesome.
Exactly. Yeah. It's such a great lifestyle play for having to have a quote unquote job, right? It's a really good place to be.
You must have some pretty interesting stories of places people have hung your hammock to sleep.
I've been told lots of things that I can't repeat. And then we're sent these great pictures of a family with their dog, and everybody's just loving life and
very cool. Yeah.
And then there's also the pictures you see where you're like, okay, listen, we can't put this on social media because 60 feet off the ground in a nylon bed is just not something we can promote. But thank you for the beautiful picture.
Very cool that you did it, but we can't tell everybody else to do it.
Yeah,
right. Yeah.
Exactly.
So what inspired you to create SKU Candy?
Yeah, countless trade shows, right? I mean, we went to Surf twice a year, OR twice a year, Grassroots, all of the great shows.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't tell you how many times I would see a booth across from us. Great brand, great people, cool products, and just not really getting the ROI that they needed. And really what it all boils down to is going to market is hard. It's expensive, it's time consuming, and it's unfortunately a journey that most brands don't end up fulfilling that part of it, right? And I just always thought there's got to be a better way to do this. Especially with trade shows not being what they used to. I'm not giving up. I love trade shows. It's so much fun.
Yeah.
They're so much fun.
They're a lot of fun.
But yeah, absolutely. But there's also a reality. And with most of the big guys being gone and a lot of regional shows, it's gotten bigger and harder to go to market. And then I think on the other side of it too is having met with so many buyers during my time and really just kind of always being like, what's new, what's unique, what's innovative.
Mm-hmm.
It's a difficult job to be a buyer. They're responsible for a lot and it all needs to sell and they want new, but it gets, I think, a little overwhelming. And it's like, how do they go find new, great stuff? Because they've got to meet with all of their brands at the show and they're left with very little time to discover. And so we just thought that there needs to be a place that's very industry specific, that's a curated collection of brands and buyers. We vet both ways.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of a promise that we make. We call it vetify, and it's vetted and verified.
I like it.
Yeah, a nice little word we made up. And it's vetted and verified. And really that's based on our understanding from all our time and just being in the industry and doing this stuff. Brands want to know that their buyers are going to put some effort into it. They're going to be responsible and they're going to enhance their distribution and not muck it up, right? By going on eBay and Amazon and places where they're off price.
Yeah.
And then for our buyers, it's a promise as well, but it's a little different. And that's that the brands that we bring and offer will be market ready. They'll understand what their obligation is in the flow of doing business. Mm-hmm. And so it's a really, I think it's an important thing that when we tell people, they're like, okay, cool. You actually understand what it is that we're going through and what's important. And so we appreciate that.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to flip-flop these next two questions. So SKU Candy focuses on outdoor gear and equipment. What sets apart, what is your product? Is it actually physical product you sell, or is it, because it sounds like you're talking about process and things that you're able to deliver as well, or maybe you do both?
Yes. So we don't physically hold inventory. Mm-hmm. Our product is really our platform. That's our product. The products that we offer through our platform are all very industry specific, outdoor, lifestyle, and adventure, right? Which encompasses, it's a pretty wide swath of category, right? And it encompasses surf, anything on water, van life, overlanding, of course, core camping and hiking and outdoors. And so we really look for, again, when we kind of approach a brand, we want to know that it's fine that they're on Amazon, but it's a responsible business on Amazon, right? They're not.
Yeah. That's you have to ask a lot of questions about that.
Yeah, exactly. Because our retailers are the first thing they're going to do is they're going to do what they do, and
distributors maybe too. Yeah.
Yeah, I can buy this brand on Amazon at 40% off. Why would my consumers want to come in here and buy this? Right. And so, yes, everybody is within this niche that we're focused on. Mm-hmm. We consider ourselves to be a specialist marketplace, right? As opposed to kind of if you think about a fair.com, which is very much a generalist. They sell, I always joke, we're like fair without potpourri and candles.
Gotcha.
So, and people get that, right? It's like, okay, cool. You're actually talking to me about products that are relevant to what I do. Mm-hmm. I'm open to have that conversation. If I call selling cleaning supplies, for example, I'm probably going to get hung up on.
Right. So you focus on outdoor products. Do you mainly focus on accessories, or do you anything and everything?
Anything and everything. Accessories are really, I think they're more in the bullseye than, say, apparel, although
Gotcha. Mm-hmm.
We definitely play in the apparel space too. Mm-hmm. So for us, it starts on what does the brand focus on? What industries? Okay, cool. They're in this space. Great. What kind of quality do they have? Do they have inventory? Are they ready for us to present them to a retailer, knowing kind of that the criteria that the retailer has and needs to be met to consider a brand? And I would say that we've got some brands that we've got a brand that's been around 90 years. And then we like to think of most of our brands kind of as emerging. They can't afford the other solutions that are out there on the market. And so for us, it's like, hey, we want to help you. We want to help you grow. We want to be a part of it. With that, we're like, I hear this quite often. There, people are like, so you're a sales rep, and yeah, kind of, or you're a distributor, sort of. We like to think we're a brand's best friend, right? Mm-hmm. And
so which of those roles between sales rep and distributor, do you play both, or do you lean one way or the other?
No, more. I mean, I would say we're more of a sales rep. We just have a lot of lines to offer, right?
Right.
A lot of brands. I think we're at probably 12,000 SKUs at this point, but so it's a pretty comprehensive offering.
So you could go in and manage someone's almost all their accessory business, sort of.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Interesting. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and we have some people say, hey, look, I don't want to deal with with my orders, right? Yeah, I'm small, I'm growing. I don't want to hire and pay for the resources necessary. Yeah. I love the idea that the way you get paid is by selling my products for me.
Yeah.
We're not quite to building out a rep force, or maybe we've got one or two, but we're open to this idea of a kind of a global brand representation through sales and marketing.
Well, a lot of those products that you sell, I mean, anyone who's been, a lot of us started at retail. That's a lot of I's to dot and T's to cross, managing that business, keeping it in stock, buying it, turning it, all those things. So having someone do that, makes a lot of sense. No wonder you're doing so well.
Yeah, absolutely. And we connect through APIs to all of our brands, right? So that we can get that real-time inventory. It's so critical. We don't want to waste a buyer's time.
Right. Or money, right? Yeah.
Or money, yeah. And they take an hour to put an order together only to find out everything's out of stock. It's
yeah. That's pretty cool.
Then we get a phone call, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So as a founder, what were some of the biggest challenges you faced in building SKU Candy?
Yeah. So I think the first one in the marketplace world, there's a term that's been coined, and it's the network effects, right? And really, when you're thinking about like a two-sided marketplace, supply and demand, which one drives, right? And so with the cold start problem, that really is what it means is the chicken or egg, right? Mm-hmm. And so when I first concepted this thing, I was like, man, I got to call some people that I know at brands where I can have that conversation. And they'd be like, man, this sounds really cool. I'm into it. How many buyers do you have? Mm-hmm. And I'd say, okay, hang on, I'll be right back. And so then I'd start calling buyers that I knew. And I'd say, hey, what do you think about this? And they're like, that sounds great. Like, how many brands do you have? This is the cold start problem.
Sure. Yeah.
In a nutshell. And so the biggest challenge was I didn't know that. I just thought that I had this I was going to basically, bounce back and forth in between the supply.
You had a network of each, and you're just going to put it together.
And I was just going to step
right.
each. That's the hustle. That's the hustle mentality, right?
Yeah. Right.
And then I started learning, and I was like, okay, so I think I need to pick a side. And so really, we focused on the brand, right? As a former brand owner, we really want to help brands get to market and grow. So I said, okay, we're gonna focus on brands, and it's been a great decision, right? I mean, the more brands we have, the more buyers that will come. That's the network effect part of it, right?
Right.
And so,
right.
and of course, the more buyers we have, the more brands we'll have. And so, yeah, just really last year when we launched, it was kind of getting that really under control and brought to the bullseye of what it is that we were focusing on. And then, of course, we're basically an MVP platform at that point in time. And so we learned a lot last year. And one of the very important things we learned is we had to get a new platform built right away. And so that kind of leads into I think the second biggest challenge that we've had, right? So with that, I've bootstrapped this thing, and it's going. We've got great product market fit, traction, and momentum. Brands are signing up, buyers are signing up. But of course, there comes a point in time where you have to kind of say, like, how much do I have that I can spend on this?
Yeah, how much bandwidth do you have for each of those things, right?
And how much will my wife let me spend on this?
right.
And so the second biggest challenge has been we just opened up a round of funding. And it's just an incredible learning experience. So you think you've got this network of people you're going to be able to just call, and they're going to say, of course I've got, X number of dollars I can throw your way. But, it's just a constant grind. And I think the biggest challenge with it is it takes you off of the daily thing that you need to be doing to try and grow your business. And
right.
So you have to find a way to really balance your time in between making money and raising money, right? And so that's been a challenge.
And now that it sounds like you have a lot of the brands to sell and the people to sell them to. How do you develop new product? How do you stay connected? And I mean, I'm sure everybody always tells you there's a better way to build a mousetrap always, so you can improve on products. But what about brand new stuff? How does that come to?
Do you mean in brand new stuff like on our platform, or brand new stuff to add to?
Brand new stuff to add to, whether you have the conversation with a brand and say, hey, you guys really should add these two things to this assortment and round it out. Or maybe some of the retailers come to you and say, hey, you know what, can you see if you can get these things from so-and-so developed?
So we've had quite a bit of the latter. I think one really cool thing about what we're doing is that with these emerging brands, buyers are a little hesitant to try a lot of new stuff because there's a lot of work that has to go into it. It's a process, right? And so
it's a bunch of money too. If you want to put something, then all of a sudden the money goes, the thing just sits there for 9 months. That's not what you want.
Exactly. And nobody's happy about that. But we've had buyers that have called us and said, hey, I really like this brand. They only have 1 or 2 products. I'm not going to go down that path. But if you get them on your platform, I'd be happy to buy them, because it's just an easier process. They don't have to set up with them. They're already set up with us. They pay us, we pay the brands. And so it's a very kind of a controlled way for them to experiment with new brands. Mm-hmm. But for us, we're constantly watching cool brands that are big players in kind of the B2C space. Mm-hmm. And they're probably at that point where they're looking to diversify. Obviously, the direct-to-consumer game has become way more expensive, and there's so much competition. Right. And so if you don't have that team, that digital marketing team of experts that can help you get in there and compete, it's a long road. And so a lot of these brands, and then even the successful ones, are like, hey, we're killing it here, but we just think it's time that we open up our distribution into retail. So we get a lot of those kind of inbound sorts of people looking to grow this way. And then going to trade shows. We brought on a brand recently called LISS. It's Living in Sunshine, and they make surfboard racks that are like a functional piece of art for your home, right? And
wow.
It's kind of like when you walk into somebody's house and they have a guitar on a on the floor display. And you're like, oh, that looks so
Right,
cool.
right.
Wow. Bachelor guy with all your guitars. Right? It's like, your house looks so cool.
Hanging on the wall. Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. And so when I first saw them at Surf Expo, I had actually followed this is funny. Like I'm a brand stalker. I thought the guy that I was following to go say hi to was from a different brand that I had seen the year before. And as it turns out, he was the CEO of this brand LISS. And I got to his booth and I was like, oh my gosh, like I cannot believe I haven't seen you. And we got to talking and 10 minutes later, he was on the platform. He totally got it. And so I think trade shows, there are still a lot of great brands and buyers. Like I said, I'm a big fan of them. But it's staying kind of in the know, right? LinkedIn offers up a lot of great brands. And we also work with, we don't work with, but we speak with, and we're kind of in the brand offering for REI Path Ahead Ventures, when they basically help incubate through their accelerator startup brands in the outdoor space that are, that are predominantly BIPOC brands. And
they had that new space at the Big Gear Show last year, a couple years, I think.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
cool. And they're perfect, right? It's like they're new, they're interested. They don't exactly know how to do it, but they're open to the idea, and that's where they want to be, right? So those are really great conversations to have.
That's cool, yeah.
We're all doing our best to reduce environmental pollution, but those gadgets that seemingly eat batteries. There are 10 million alkaline batteries thrown away every day in the USA, and most are landfilled or incinerated. Pale Blue Earth batteries could help you reduce your share of that. Because when you need a battery, you need it now or very soon. Speed and convenience matter. Pale Blue batteries are rated for 1,000 charges and come with a limited charge-for-life guarantee. They are available in size AAA, AA, 9-volt, C, D, and CR 123A. And we've got a special offer from Pale Blue just for Outdoor Biz listeners. Go to paleblueearth.com and use code OD Biz Blue 15 and get 15% off your batteries today. That's OD BIZ BLUE 15, and that code is good until June 30th, so get on it. Grab a few for holiday gifts and get some for your friends and family too. Stop throwing away batteries and money. Go to paleblueearth.com and use code ODBizBlue15. Help the planet survive so our kids, nieces, and nephews can have the same outdoor fun we've had. Now let's get back to the show.
Talk a little more about the role of digital marketing and e-commerce, because that it can be very expensive. It can be a significant learning curve as things change. How do you guys stay up on that? How do you manage all that?
Yeah, no, it's so interesting, right? The last few years, and I follow some of the great industry voices that are able to articulate it much better than me from like a retail standpoint. But there was this couple year period of time, even before COVID, where everybody thought, man, we're just going to build a website and we're going to get all these people to buy from us.
Yep.
And
millionaire next weekend.
Exactly. I think I've said it before too, but so I don't blame anybody for feeling that way. But
yeah, right.
And then reality sets in, right? This is not just a build a website and they will come, because there's people that are willing to spend way more money to get those people before you do. And so I think it's really, to me, it's an important balance. I mean, I'm retail first, right? This is I say that, but I play in this digital space, but it's really all about helping brands get into that real estate,
get their brands on the floor. Yeah. Get their product
exactly.
in front of the consumer. Yeah.
Because my generation and how it all came together, it was retail first. That being said, we've all seen incredible stories around direct to consumer brands that just explode. Pura Vida is I think they're a good example kind of in the outdoor and lifestyle space, where their success online was so good that Nordstrom and retailers like that started approaching them and saying, we want you in our store. Well, we don't have the margin. We don't care. We want you in the store. And so I think it's an important balance. Like, you have to be there so your fans can follow along. You can drop products. You can communicate with people, and most of the generations that are, being focused on now, like kind of the younger generations, that's their language, right? So super important to be there. But I think as I think about a brand, it's something that you can use to facilitate growth into other channels, right?
Mm-hmm.
Whether it be to retail, or if you have a brand that's kind of a crossover, you can be in surf and outdoor. There's quite a few of them now.
Yeah.
They need to be able to communicate, hey, we play in this space too. Check it out. Right? So yeah, it's a must.
Yeah. Did you ever work retail?
I never worked in a retail store.
Oh, interesting.
Well, that I guess I've been in retail stores when I was selling my brand, and they kind of got overwhelmed, and I was like, I can help you.
Helped out. Yeah. But that's the easy part.
Yeah, I didn't get paid.
Yeah.
And they did the hard job of getting those people in their door. So
right. Yeah.
No, but I think it's great. And I don't know. It would be tragic if there was ever a time where we didn't get to walk in and talk to somebody who could actually help us find what we need.
That's huge. Yeah. That's not going away. Yeah. As much as people think that's going to be direct to consumer and mail order and all these other things, there could be more and more of that, but you're still going to have this. I mean, look at the Apple stores. Holy cow. It's just, they're so fantastic. They're just so helpful. And granted, they have a product that's a little bit technical and complex, but some of these other outdoor products and all these active products, some of these things that we use, you need somebody to walk you through it.
Sure. I mean, it's funny because people know I've been in the space. I still get questions like friends going backpacking, and they're like, which backpack should I get? Or which bladder should I get for inside my backpack? And so those are the things where you can walk into any local retailer and they've probably got somebody in there that is a super gear brainiac, right? They know.
Oh yeah. There's always one of those on the floor. Yeah.
Yeah. Which is great, right? For us,
awesome.
Those of us that are just kind of weekend warriors we don't really know, and we don't want to be it's like going to the gym, right? If you don't know how to work out, the gym is this very scary place where there's giant men screaming and throwing weights around, right? I don't want to go there. Right. Versus when you go to a gear shop, it can kind of have that same feeling. It's like, I have no idea what I need, but I'm going backpacking. And so I think that's the beauty of like going into that local shop where they just take you by the hand and they're happy to help.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Sustainability is becoming increasingly important in the outdoor industry. How do you guys approach sustainability in the products and practices that you use? Obviously, you get exposed to a lot of tactics and strategies through all the people you work with, I'll bet.
Yeah, absolutely. So for us, we created something called Brands Breaking Barriers. I'm sorry, that's a different category. Brands Going Beyond. And what Brands Going Beyond is it's basically a way for a retailer. So when a brand signs up, they say, I support 1% for the planet. Cool. They become segmented into a bucket that says this is a 1% for the planet brand. And so a retailer can come in and filter according to that and say, hey, we really love the Coral Reef Alliance, right? The oceans are important to us. So if there are brands out there that support that, we'd love to know who they are. So that's one way, is that we encourage all of our brands. We even created a category, we support local initiatives, right? And that's all about helping people locally. I can tell you, like, a few of our brands are doing incredible things. One is called Opolis Optics, and Opolis has what they call stoked plastic. And I met their founder, James Merrill, at OR, and he's showing me these really amazing sunglasses, right? And he's like, yeah, what do you think these are made out of? I'm like, I don't know, plastic. And he's like, yes, but check it out, right? It shows me these beads, and it's basically, they've patented a way to take ocean plastic, break it down essentially into like little beads. And then I
read about them the other day.
Yeah, it's really cool what they're doing. And so our Opolis, and then Faro, which is in the surf space, Faro, they make their surfboard bags out of that same plastic.
Oh, cool.
They're good buddies. Yeah. And so most of our brands, I mean, I would say all of our brands are doing something.
Yeah, these days you have to have something going. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Touching on whether it's the development of their products, utilizing these really amazing new materials, and or doing their part to give back. And it's funny too, because I don't know that there's more than a few brands that are in the space that aren't doing something.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And it's like, we don't even have to be told, right? This is our earth, it's our playground, and we have to take care of it. And so let's do our best to.
Yeah, we got to start reversing this trend. Otherwise, there ain't going to be an earth.
That's right. Exactly. Yeah. And I love that about the space, right? Like we don't have, nobody needs to be told. We're all very well aware of the situation. And so,
for the most part. Yeah. What advice would you give to someone looking to start their career or launch their career or launch their own outdoor gear company? Any advice on that?
Well, I mean, of course, let's come to SKU Candy and join us.
Yeah.
I would say go for it. It's a great industry. We've really, the outdoor space as a whole, surfing is the fastest growing water sport in the world now. The way they've diversified the demographic is incredible. It's got huge swaths of folks from all walks of life that are now getting in the water and surfing. So that's cool. And I think that from an economic standpoint, during the 2008, when the housing market crashed, the outdoor industry did very well. During COVID,
Same COVID. Oh my God. We saw people up here camping in COVID, like never.
Right. Before. It was like the perfect storm for the outdoor space.
Get outside. Okay, let's go. Yeah.
Stay away from people. Cool. Let's go up on that mountain.
Exactly.
It just made sense. And
and
I think that it was the same thing with the housing market, right? When money got tight, people said, well, let's do a staycation. Let's get closer to our family. Let's get out into nature and enjoy all this beautiful land that we have. So I think it's very resilient. We also touched on the fact there's so many people that are willing to help. So it's a good, friendly space to be in.
Exactly.
And I think also from like technology, I think a lot of the products that our brands make,
cut out there.
With Elastic or New Order, any of those guys, right? There's a lot of technology now being applied and focused on, which is really cool because you're able to bring in people that are not necessarily familiar with what a great space it is to live and work in.
Yeah.
And they find their way and they're just like, I can't believe I've been.
It's pretty exciting, some of the stuff going on. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And they're like, I can't believe I've been working so hard in such a crummy industry for so long. And then I found this place and now I get to wear board shorts and sandals to work.
Yeah,
this is amazing.
Do what I love. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And do what I love. Exactly. Yeah. So it's for those that are authentic and craving kind of a lifestyle based business. I think it's an awesome place to be.
Yeah, I agree. 100%. Yeah. What exciting developments do you guys have going on in the pipeline? Anything coming down the pipe that's going to?
Yeah. So we are under development for our new, we call it V2. The new platform, and it's just shocked. We've been so fortunate. When we first started on the brand side, we called all of our brands early adopters, and we said, by the way, this is going to be a horrible experience. Don't expect anything, but we're going to make you a really good deal. And what we want from you is to give us feedback. And I think people just like that idea. It's like, hey, we're helping you carve this thing out based on our needs, wants, and desires. And you're willing to listen. So that's cool. And we're happy to tell you. So we've had dozens of pages of feedback from both brands, and most great. Some like, if you don't fix this, I'm never going to come on your platform.
Of course, you're going to get that. Of course.
Yeah. And
that's good too, right? Because if you don't know, it's broken. You don't know to fix it. So yeah.
And I tell people, it's like, I've got very thick skin. I know you've heard that before. Like, you can tell me anything about this. Like, shoot holes in the side of this thing, please.
Right.
Because that just helps us be better. Absolutely. And I've had people apologize in advance, and I'm like, oh, here it comes. I apologize in advance, but I really need to give you this feedback. And at the end of it, I'm like, there's no need to. That was fantastic feedback.
Yeah.
Yeah. You
That's
just
something I could go act on. Yeah. Yeah.
You just saved us months of
Right.
trying to figure this thing out. And so it's been really, really great.
Cool.
We are approaching the 100 brand mark, which is a huge milestone for us. So
cool.
I think that's a big development. Again, as the more brands, we get to this place where there's a lot of value in the brands that are on the platform and what they're offering. And I think it's important too, because it gives, I always get told by retailers, I want new, unique, and innovative. And it's like, okay, here it is. I want stuff that and all this is data that we're given when both brands and buyers sign up. I want brands that my local competitive retailer store doesn't offer. Cool. Great. I love hearing that because you hear it a lot, right? But then when you try and introduce something to somebody, they're like, no, we're good. It's like Cotopaxi. What an incredible story. They just kind of came. Yeah. Everybody thought there will never be, and I don't want to call them Patagonia, but they're Patagonia-esque, right? They have that same sort of vibe. And I don't know that anybody thought there was space for another company like that. And lo and behold, here they come. So I think that's
they're very progressive. I love that about them. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, absolutely. And then globally, we're expanding. The last few years I was at Grand Trunk. I built a lot of really great relationships with big retailers around the world, people that are able to bring brands in a meaningful way, right? Not a couple $100, but like really commit. Right. And so we've gotten a lot of those people now signed up on the platform looking for brands. And then there's a couple little stealth things that we've got going that we like to say will democratize some of these kind of old antiquated approaches.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, exactly. And we go out and we speak to our retailers and our brands first. And when we float some of these ideas, they're like, yes, we want to be a part of that. And so some of those things will happen once V2 rolls out. So those are our big developments.
And V2 rolls out, was it May?
We're looking at like middle of the summer, June.
Oh, okay, June. Yeah.
Yeah, mid-June. Yeah.
Cool. All right. Very cool.
Yeah.
Well, as we wrap up here, I got the hardest questions I probably ask people. The first one is, what is your favorite piece of outdoor gear under $100? You probably have like 100 of those.
Exactly.
I just need one.
Yeah. Well, so I've got 3 for you.
Okay.
First of all, I'm a hammock guy at heart. So most hammocks you can get under $100. I'm a big fan. Okay. One of our brands is called Outdoor Element. They're out of Colorado. Really cool brand. And they've got a product called the Fire Beaner. And I love the Fire Beaner. It's kind of like survival meets utility.
I met those guys at the Big Gear Show, I think.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Mike and Joe. And they're supported. They started up through Path Ahead. The Fire Beaner is just a really neat product. Like it was named 2024 Camping Goat of the Year by Camping Gadgets, and so it's won a lot of awards. Mm-hmm. And it's one of those simple things. It doesn't add to your pack. It's lightweight. So I really am a big fan of that.
Cool.
And then and I'm going to stick with some of our brands because
absolutely, I would expect that.
yeah, exactly. So we've got another brand coming on board here soon called Fire Maple. And Fire Maple is a brand actually out of Asia, and they've won a bunch of ISPO awards. I guess you would think of them like in the jet boil space. And they've got it's called the X2, and I love the X2. It's a nested stove burner design, super powerful. It's a great price. I think it's $64.95. So that's definitely one of my favorites. Yep.
Mm-hmm. That's good. And you had a third one?
I could keep going.
You said you had a third one. What was the third one?
Oh, well, I was saying, I think initially I said hammock. I like a hammock.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, that's right. It said 3. Yeah. Right. Gotcha. Yeah. So how about a favorite book? Do you read a lot? Business books or otherwise?
I do read a lot. Yeah. I got to be honest. I'm kind of in this self-satisfaction book mode. I like to read. There's an author I like named Jack Mars, and it's just like, I don't know. It's just like global like stuff. This guy is like traveling around the world trying to save the world. I don't know why that's I think in the business world, I've read a lot of books. I love the E-Myth.
It's a good one. That's a classic. Yeah.
Yeah. Anything by Simon Sinek. I like. And if I were to say kind of a nonfiction book that ran me through a series of emotions, it's called 438 Days. And it's about,
I don't think
it's about a fisherman from a village in southern Mexico who goes out during this storm and basically is lost at sea for 438 days.
Wow. That sounds fascinating.
It is fascinating. I mean, you can't believe like the human will to live, right? And so from weeping, literally like
a few times, I'll bet. Yeah.
Losing it, right? To being like so happy when good things happen to this guy. And really got to be a good one. I love the book. Yeah,
very cool. I'll have to look that one up and get that one. Yeah. So how can listeners follow up with you? What's the best way to reach out and chat?
Sure. Yeah. I'm on LinkedIn, obviously. And my name's Jon, Jon, last name's Neff, Neff. And my email is Jon@SKU Candy, Jon@SKUcandy.com.
Easy. Cool.
Yeah, easy. I'm always available. I love to talk to people that are thinking about doing something, all the way to people that are interested in investing. And anywhere in between.
Yeah. Well, we'll link to all the stuff in the show notes and all the stuff we talked about. And I look forward to catching up with you at a show one of these days. I don't go to shows much anymore, but
I'll be at OR.
Yeah, I won't be at OR. I'll be, the next show I'll be at is probably the writing event, possibly.
Okay.
I'm not sure yet. Yeah. Somewhere along the line. Yeah.
Be fun to meet in person. Absolutely.
Yep, absolutely. Well, thanks for coming on. I appreciate it.
You bet, Rick. Thank you so much.
And thanks again to our sponsor, Pale Blue. Go to paleblueearth.com and use code OD Biz Blue 15 and stop throwing away batteries and money.
Thank you for joining us on another episode of the Outdoor Biz Podcast. Be sure to visit our website, theoutdoorbizpodcast.com, where you'll find show notes with links to everything we talked about and more. Subscribe wherever you get your podcasts so you don't miss a single episode. And while you're at it, if you found value in this show, we'd appreciate a rating on iTunes, or spread the word and tell a friend. That would really help us out too. Be sure to tune in every week. And thanks again for listening to the Outdoor Biz Podcast with Rick Saez.